What we saw is that there is a shortage of housing in Spain. A lot of properties are either old or there is not enough. For example, just in Spain, there is a lack of 900,000 homes. So we decided to focus ourselves into transforming old properties into co-livings. And we saw that it will be very complex for people to build wealth through real estate. So we wanted to build a solution that simplifies the process, where you can invest very easily with a little amount. In our case, it's just 100 euro, and build your wealth by investing in fractions of property. The first property, for you to have some perspective, take us 7 months to get finance because we had to find the first investor by one. Now the last and most recent property get financed under 10 minutes.
Who does the property management?
Now 90% of all tenants book the property fully digitally without even visiting the property. Now people don't have to go to the property to make a visit. They can control from their own dashboard what is coming and then where do they need to put their attention and actions.
Why Spain? What drove you to launch in Spain?
Multiple reasons.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Token City Show. Today we have with us Robin Decaux. He is the CEO of Equito. He is a former model turned entrepreneur and he is with us today to tell us all about his company. Hi Robin.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome
to share this hour with you.
Thank you so much. You're very welcome. We are very excited to have you with us today. To start off, I would like for you to give our audience a little bit of a rundown of Equito. How did it start? What you had in mind? What have you gone through where you are now?
Very simple, but we try to simplify it a lot. We realized that the next generation will not have access to real estate the same way our parents did. We know that it's one of the best way to create wealth, but now with the condition of the market of today, you need a lot of capital to start. Somehow you need expertise, time, and we saw that it will be very complex for people to build wealth through real estate. So we wanted to build a solution that simplifies the process, where you can invest very easily with a little amount. In our case, it's just 100 euro, and build your wealth by investing in fractions of property. So this is how Equito was born back in 2021. So far, we have grown a lot. Now we have a community of around 12,000 investors. They invested collectively over 30 million euros that we have deployed across 142 properties. We have over 600 tenants across the properties. And our goal is really to democratize real estate investment for everyone, making it as easy as possible so they can invest safely in the real estate market.
Awesome. So you mentioned tenants. Can you please tell our audience again exactly what is the investment product that investors are getting through Equito?
Residential is the thing that we believed everybody understand. You buy a property, you rent it. We all live in properties, so we know what it is. What we saw is that there is a shortage of housing in Spain. Mm-hmm. A lot of properties are either old or there is not enough. For example, just in Spain, there is a lack of 900,000 homes. Mm. And we wanted to provide to our investors an investment product that also makes sense for the society. So we decided to focus ourselves into transforming old properties into co-livings. So basically, we buy properties in big cities where people don't have enough money to rent a property. We buy a big property that is usually in very old condition, and we transform it into co-living. So basically, we increase the amount of room, we build new bathroom, and we rent it per room to the tenants. So now we have tenants that we were thinking it's only going to be students that want to have this shared housing. But we realized that young workers and not so young workers, because the third category of tenant that we have is actually people that are from 30 to 45 years old, mm-hmm. and people that actually don't live so far from the city at an affordable price. So this is how we have built our property so far. And the property is around 80 to 300 square meters for the bigger one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you scope the project. Can you walk us through a little bit how that works? You scope a project, you make the project, you propose the financial operation to investors. How can you walk us through a little bit how that works?
Yes. We really wanted to make sure that the investment product that we offer on the platform, we can control the operations and we know what's going to happen to it. So we build an in-house team that is in charge of sourcing the properties. We have investment criteria. So we want properties that are at least 80 square meters where we can actually transform the property, add more bedroom, more bathroom that will fit the co-living model. We analyze the property. We do a legal due diligence. Once all the criteria are being met, this is being validated by our investment committee. And then we decide to put the property on the platform. As soon as we put it on the platform, investor finance it. The first property, for you to have some perspective, take us 7 months to get finance because we had to find the first investor by one. Yep. Now the last and most recent property get financed under 10 minutes.
Yeah, I saw.
The speed of financing is increasing very fast. And as soon as the property is financed, then we acquire it through the notary, and then the renovation starts. So we have in-house architects that are supervising the entire renovation. It takes 3 to 4 months to get the property ready. And then we rent it. We have a second department that is the property management team. And with technology and people on the ground, we can manage the tenants. So we find the people that we rent it, and we make sure that they pay rent on time. And then we distribute on a monthly basis all the income from each properties to all the investors that have invested.
When you say we acquire it, who is actually acquiring the property?
It's Equito. So all the properties are on Equito's balance sheet. This is something maybe we can get a bit more in detail because we study different tokenization model all across the globe. In United States, for example, a very common way to tokenize real estate is to create an LLC and then tokenize the equity of this same LLC. So people own a company that own the asset. In Spain, creating an SL costs at least 3,000 euro. When you finance a 100,000 euro property, it have a very significant cost on the total project, and it affects the profitability. So the way to go through was to acquire the property with a vehicle and then issue participative loan that investors finance to finance the property. So at the moment and until today, what investors invest in is a participative loan, and the interest of this loan depends on the performance of the property. So the net rental income that you're going to get every month, but also the added value when we will sell the property, 80% goes to the investors and 20% of the added value will go to Equito as a performance fee to make sure that we are aligned and we maximize the value for the investor.
It's a magnificent model. I love it. One more. The next question would be: so you are obviously perceived as an investment platform in real estate. You are now more positioning yourselves as an infrastructure provider, a platform for tokenized real estate. How do you envision this? How does it look in practical terms?
Very good question, because we have seen this and we didn't want it to be just an intermediary between investors and investment opportunity, because we envision to scale all operations, the real estate operation, the investor operation and investor management and transaction, and also the tokenized part that we can discuss. But we saw ourselves as an infrastructure layer from a little bit day one, because we had to build really the technology and the groundwork that will allow us to scale all ops around the years. And when we forecasted our first number at the beginning, we saw that we want to manage a lot of investors, a lot of properties, and this requires an infrastructure to make sure that we can control as it grows. So on the investor side, we build Equito App. This is the distribution layer, so it's an investment app where all investors can register, do their KYC, become registered investors, and then proceed to investment. This investment app is powered by our own infra and database where we record all transactions. Just to give you some numbers, last month we distribute over 60,000 micro rents to the investors.
Micro loans.
Micro rents.
Micro rents.
They invest in a property, but they can invest multiple time in a property, multiple time across different properties. So it's a lot of payment and transaction that need to be well controlled and orchestrated. So there is this financial infrastructure that have been developed. Then on the real estate side, we control acquisition, renovation, and management. And for this, we saw that it's a lot of work. It's not rocket science, but it's a lot of small tasks that need to be performed that will require a lot of human if we aim to do this at scale. And so we started to develop really the infrastructure that allow us to source properties and make data-driven decision and underwrite each asset in a digital way, because real estate is still built on very old foundation. Same for the renovation, where we can really track all the renovation and to make sure that everything goes right, as we have now multiple renovation in the same time happening. And then on the management side, property management is a very human-heavy work. We also wanted to make sure that this work can be supervised and automated digitally. So we build our own property management software where we can supervise all operation. We build mobile app for the tenant, so they can actually pay their rent directly from the mobile app. They can report an incident, for example, directly on the mobile app that is created. It created tickets in our infrastructure, and we can then prioritize if it's just a light bulb to change. We can have some hours the delay. If it's a water leak, we need to act now. So now we have everything that is orchestrated. So if we put more property on the platform, we can control it and scale it. If we put more investor on the platform, we can control it and scale it. And last but not least, the tokenization part. This is something that we saw from many years ago as the new infrastructure for the financial system, where all the assets will be digitalized, and what we see with the RWA now, putting all the real world assets onto the blockchain. These have also evolved through the life of Equito, but since day one we have put all the insurance on the blockchain, and this is the third layer that we foresee, where tomorrow we see that all assets will be tokenized, and real estate being the biggest asset class in the world, it made sense to start with real estate.
Amen. We share the same vision. It should be said that before we started recording, you were saying that you have been an advocate for blockchain technology and the possibilities it brings to basically enhance the regular person's wealth one way or another. It could be crypto, it could be real estate regulated with very small tickets like you're doing. Your university thesis was around blockchain applications, so it's super interesting to see how you are basically instantiating this into reality. It's awesome. So one question I have, you mentioned when you were talking about how you organize your backend, you mentioned property management.
Yes.
Who does the property management?
It's a combination of two teams. Our tech and product team that are developing new tools to enhance the capabilities of our people on the ground. So we have a property management team that is supervising all the tenant work, but now they increase their capabilities through the technology and through the tools that we put at their disposal. So to give you an example, back in the days when we had to rent a property, we organize a property visit where a lot of tenants come, visit, we choose the right one, we sign contract. This was taking a lot of time. Now, 90% of all tenants book the property fully digitally without even visiting the property, because we took pictures, video, and we enhanced the entire process in order to make sure that we lose less time. Now people don't have to go to the property to make a visit. They can control from their own dashboard what is coming and then where do they need to put their attention and actions. So our goal is really to observe the entire value chain and see what can be automated, and then build solutions in order to make sure that our people can do 10 times more with the same resources that they have at their disposal.
And so Equito has been evolving, of course. You are describing all of the work that you've done in the background and at the forefront. How has the property architecture or the financial asset operation evolved since you have started applying tokenization? And maybe you could explain how you are applying tokenization and how you want to apply tokenization.
We made this bet early on to tokenize all the properties from the beginning. So all the issuance that were happening since Equito 001 were issued on the blockchain. We use Polygon as the blockchain layer in order to issue the tokens. but it was only the insurance that was happening on chain. Then every transaction, because we built a secondary market that was more with buyback mechanism, this was not happening on chain. And since the new area regulation and our partnership with Token City, we enhanced now the capabilities of the blockchain. It's not just anymore a registry where we can foresee the information, but it become really the distributed layer where we can have now the token that is tradable. We can build peer-to-peer mechanism on the secondary market. So this is evolving now from using the blockchain, and we were preparing ourselves for the regulation, for the adoption of tokenization in general. We built the infrastructure first, but it was not as useful as it's becoming now, because now with regulation, with the token becoming a security, it enhances a little much more what we can do with this token, as we were mentioning, the peer-to-peer trading, but also much more regulatory certainty for corporate and institutional capital to jump in also. So I'm extremely excited about the future of tokenization. We have seen now big funds starting to tokenize part of their portfolio. And I think with startup like us, with a technology provider like you guys, and also bigger fund manager that are entering the space, we are about to see a massive adoption of tokenized asset and really a switch from Web 2 to Web 3 and all the asset going and moving on chain that will really enhance the capacity for investors, but also for regulator, for issuers. So the future looks very bright to me.
Definitely does. So maybe we should clarify for our audience that the ERIR framework here in Spain basically ensures that there is an institution. It has to be an investment firm, banking institution, that is basically responsible for the integrity of the issuance, the investment operation. If something goes wrong, now let's say there's a figure that is regulated that has to answer to anything that happens. Right or wrong, it is the entity that is responsible for the entire issuance, and that is regulated with the Spanish regulatory supervisor here, which registers and basically sanctions the entire operation. So on that note, we have a few minutes still, but on that note, why you are French? You obviously speak English fantastically. Why Spain? What drove you to launch in Spain?
Multiple reasons, but the regulatory point of view is actually one of them. Because since day one, we knew and we observed the market. We made the choice to really go talk to the CNMV and say what we wanted to do, and also be co-builder of a potential regulation that will be coming. And compared to other countries, they were already very advanced in the knowledge of tokenization and the impact of the regulation. So I think that Spain had already a characteristic of becoming one of the key leaders in Europe to propose a regulation that could be the framework for Europe in the future. Secondly, the Spanish market in terms of real estate is amazing. There is a lot to be yet developed. Institutional capital doesn't have arrived as big as it has in France and UK. So the market is full of opportunity. We have now a very strong economic growth in Spain too. So all these factors were positioning Spain, both from the tokenization side, the real estate growth, and the quality of living, because this is also one of the reasons me and my co-founder moved to Spain, is because we enjoyed very much how Spanish people live and the quality of life that it has to offer. So all these together, we were like, okay, Spain is the right place to build this tokenization platform in order to be able to offer real estate for retail investors at scale. So yeah.
So when did you start? Because you said you approached the supervisor, the regulators here, right? When was that? What time of?
Before we even built the app, so 2021.
2021.
And when we explained what we wanted to do, there was no regulation back then that regulate security token offering. The law of the security market was very well developed, but securities on the blockchain, it's exactly what we do for securities, but with an extra layer of complexity, but security using the blockchain. So the regulator had to adapt and make sure, and they work together with also other players to build a regulation, because we have a strong point of view on regulation. We need regulation to protect the investors and to make sure that issuer respect some rules, but we need also regulation that allow innovation and that doesn't stop innovation from happening. And I think Spain and CNMV and Bank of Spain have succeeded at this move to make sure that they took their time to regulate, but now they are one of the only countries that have a real framework that can allow issuer to really issue regulated tokens safely. And I think there will be a lot happening in the coming years, but Spain is a leader in that matter, so it's very good. And for us, issuer, and for the entire market, it gives now the baseline of how everybody need to behave in order to create a safe market. And I think that is very positive. And with this CNMV regulation, we will be able to passport ourselves all across Europe. So investor protection, protection for the insurers and the companies that want to build this infrastructure. So I see it very positive.
Absolutely. Spain, I have to say, Yael, our CEO, Token City CEO, she has been advocating with CNMV for a long time. That's why I was asking, when was this? Definitely CNMV is now on the side of tokenization. The regulation, as you mentioned, is fantastic. The regulators it's not an easy spot, because if the regulatory design has a flaw, it's their responsibility, and the consequences could be bad. So they are always very cautious and careful, and for good reason. But Spain, the regulators here in Spain, actually kind of leaped forward from what is common in many jurisdictions, and put us at the forefront of the possibilities. So yeah, that is fantastic to see. Thank you for highlighting that. So I wanted to ask you now, we have been talking about ERIR. ERIR is also, I mentioned before that it's responsible, but it's kind of like also the note keeper, the book registry.
Yep.
In the blockchain world. So what is your plan? You mentioned peer-to-peer trading. How is this regulation? How are you going to apply it? What is the plan for the near future? Yeah.
To make it very simple, there is multiple players in this token insurance. There is the issuer like Equito that will offer the project. This ERIR that have the role of supervising all the insurance, and they need to verify, and they have access to the systems to make sure that they verify that the project are good, the transaction are well issued. And then we have the investors that can now participate into this regulated project. But this, I think, bring these three things that we are mentioning. First of all, much more security for the investor, and a compliance level, because now we have identity that is embedded in the token. So now they can enforce the law and the security law in order to make sure that their rights are protected, which is very good for the investor protection. On the other side, we can now trade this token, because as it becomes a security, before on the secondary mechanism, we had to buy back and then resell to another investors. Now we will be able to build a peer-to-peer market where a Japanese guy can sell his token to an English guy, all this using the Equito interface seamlessly without us having to interfere. And I think this liquidity mechanism that are brought by the security token itself will be very good, because the more liquidity, the more dynamic the market will become, and the more valuable each token and product is becoming. So this is one very good thing. And last but not least, I think these rules that everybody have to follow now will make sure that the market can grow much more, because now investors know that they are protected. And anyone that really want to offer this security token know the set of rules that they have to respect, so they can do it safely. And we have mentioned the security token, but there is the KYC that is embedded and that can be embedded, so we can also make sure that we prevent platform and issuer from blanqueo de capital, from all this kind of stuff. All these for a safer financial market, more regulated, that have more transparency and where everybody can feel safe in it, and also enter, because now with just 100 euro, you can invest in a product that only institutional had access to before. So it's also the very positive note for any retail investors that want to start investing in the real estate market.
Sure. So in terms of the peer-to-peer, how far along are you into that? When can we expect to see this live?
I don't want to put my product team, on the spotlight, but I think by the end of the year we will have something functional. The mechanism are working, but we were waiting for this regulated insurance to happen. So I think I can say safely by the end of the year we will have already something live for the users.
Awesome. So I also wanted to touch on something. Clearly you guys are a very solid operational team. We have been touching on financial infrastructure, but also you really put it on the table how strong you are operationally. You must be operationally excellent to do what you just described and to grow your product the way you have done. So how do you see the dance of both things, infrastructure and operational excellence? What do you think? How do you envision the dance between these two sides of your business?
They go hands to hands. I need to give the credit to Naji, the CEO of Equito, Christian, our CTO, and Nuestra, our CEO, that are the ones that are making sure that the infrastructure is developing very fast, and also supervising the excellence of the operation. So even when we build infrastructure, if we build it on wrong statement, the excellence will not be the result of it. And we ask excellence both to our product team that is building the softwares, but also to our teams on the ground to respect the rules that are being made to protect investors' interest. And this is really something very interesting at the moment, and with this AI transition and AI wave now that we are all going through, we need all to, as a personal and individual level, I think, reach and aim for excellence in everything that we do and embrace technology, because now there's no way around. But also what makes us human, I think, and it's one of the questions with this AI world that is changing, is really the judgment and the decision making that we will make in everyday's actions. So we really see technology empowering our humans, so they do less boring stuff and they do focus themselves on the most value creation that they can. So sending a contract that was done manually before, this need to be automated, but being on the phone to understand the tenant need or an investor worry, this is where we need to be. And the more technology allow us to take out the boring part and make sure that our people can really use their brain to provide the most value for the people, this is really where we are heading. But the infrastructure is about to continue to grow and being developed. As we mentioned, we are now operating in multiple cities. We will launch new countries soon. In order to launch new countries, we need to be able to control all aspects of the business, from the data that we are using in order to decide which property we're going to buy, to the people that will inspect these properties. For example, all the reporting and the control of this need to be very well orchestrated. But we have proved it across Spain, and a lot of good things across Europe, I think, are coming.
Yes, we have 1 minute. Can you tell us, please, what can people, the public in general, expect of Equito in the next 12 months?
To continue to provide this excellency that we have done for the last 4 years, transparency, as we communicate a lot on everything that we are doing. We will enrich the portfolio. So now we have 142 properties so far. We want to provide more properties on the platform so people can continue invest. new type of product. We have mentioned the co-living yield product. This is a product that allows you to receive monthly passive income. Now we are going to launch the flip, so more short-term product where you buy, renovate, and sell the properties within a very short time frame, under 12 months, for example. We have auto invest, where people don't even need to connect on the platform and invest in each properties every week, but they can, a bit like a saving plan, say, I want to put 1,000 euro per month, and we diversify automatically across different assets on the platform. We have Equito for businesses, family office, and corporate for anyone that want to invest through their company. They can now do it. And always simplifying the experience for the users. Back in the days, you could only invest with bank transfer. Now with Apple Pay or Google Pay, in 1 second, you can proceed to your investment. So the idea is really to have a better product, both on terms of real estate, but also that the investor experience is as easy as possible, and some education, because we also believe that the more we are educated, the more our financial decisions are easy to be made. So a bit like your podcast, we are aiming to provide resources for the people to understand how to invest, how to save, what to look at, understand much more the real estate dynamics. And this is also the third pillar of Equito. Beyond technology, education, and human, this is something that we can expect for the coming months.
Awesome. So we are done with our time, but I really wanted to tell you it's an honor to be able to help you with the operational side of things, like more operational efficiency, more trust to investors from investors, and more possibilities that can go global in the best way possible. Awesome. Thank you for being here today. It was a pleasure to
really appreciate it, and we will continue the conversation.
For sure. Thank you, everyone, and see you soon in the next Token City show. This was Robin Decaux.
Thank you very much.